Cleopatra. She was the last ruler of a dynasty that spanned nearly 3 centuries. A queen whose intellect rivaled her beauty and a political strategist who stood toe-to-toe with the greatest powers of her time. Her name has echoed through history, synonymous with seduction, power, and tragedy. This is the story of Cleopatra VII, Egypt's last and most legendary pharaoh.
Hi, my name is Apollo Tobibi, founder and CEO of Notlip, a real estate investor, a landlord, and a lover of storytelling on history. Now, let's dive into the story of today.
Cleopatra VII was not just a queen. She was a force of nature, born into a Macedonian Greek Ptolemaic Dynasty. She inherited the throne in a time of turmoil. Rome was expanding, Egypt was weakening, and intrigue filled the air. But Cleopatra would not be a passive figure in history. She would write her own destiny. Cleopatra was born in 69 BCE to the ruling Ptolemaic family. Unlike her predecessors, she immersed herself in Egyptian culture, even learning the native language, a rarity among the Greek-speaking Ptolemies. Her father, Ptolemy XII, struggled to maintain power, and after his death, Cleopatra was thrust into a co-rulership with her younger brother, Ptolemy XIII. But Cleopatra was not one to share power easily. A civil war soon erupted between the siblings. As political chaos consumed Alexandria, Cleopatra sought support beyond Egypt's borders. And in 48 BCE, fate brought her into the orbit of Rome's most powerful man, Julius Caesar. Cleopatra was a master of theatricality and intelligence. Legend tells us she had herself smuggled into Julius Caesar's quarters, rolled up in a carpet, a dramatic entrance that captivated the Roman general. What followed was a powerful alliance, both political and personal. With Caesar's support, Cleopatra regained her throne, ruling alongside another younger brother, Ptolemy XIV, whom she kept as a figurehead. Cleopatra and Caesar's union bore a son, Caesarea, whom she positioned as Caesar's rightful heir. Cleopatra traveled to Rome, where her presence scandalized the Senate. But in 44 BCE, Caesar was assassinated. Cleopatra, realizing Rome was no longer safe, returned to Egypt, where she would soon find a new ally in Rome's emerging power struggle. After Caesar's death, Rome was in turmoil. Mark Antony, Caesar's trusted general, rose to power alongside Octavian, the future emperor Augustus. Needing Egypt's wealth to fund his campaigns, Antony summoned Cleopatra to meet him. But Cleopatra turned the meeting into a grand spectacle, arriving on a golden barge, dressed as the goddess Isis. Antony was enchanted. What followed was one of history's most famous love affairs. Antony and Cleopatra were inseparable, living a life of opulence in Alexandria. They had 3 children together and cemented their bond through lavish celebrations and political maneuvers. But their love story would come at a great cost. Rome was growing uneasy with Antony's allegiance to Cleopatra. Octavian seized the opportunity, painting Antony as a traitor who had fallen under the spell of the Egyptian queen. In 31 BCE, war was inevitable. At the Battle of Actium, the combined forces of Antony and Cleopatra faced Octavian's fleet. Outmaneuvered and outmatched, Cleopatra's navy fled, and Antony followed, abandoning the battle. Their defeat marked the beginning of the end. Back in Alexandria, Antony and Cleopatra knew their reign was doomed. As Octavian's forces advanced, Antony, misled by false news of Cleopatra's death, fell on his sword. Mortally wounded, he was taken to Cleopatra, where he died in her arms. Realizing she would be paraded as a trophy in Rome, Cleopatra made one final defiant act: her own death. According to legend, she allowed the venomous asp to bite her, ensuring she would never be at the mercy of Octavian. And in case you're wondering what an asp is, it is a snake. With Cleopatra's death, Egypt fell under Roman control, marking the end of the Ptolemaic Dynasty and the beginning of a new era. Yet, Cleopatra's story still lived on through Roman propaganda, Shakespearean plays, and modern film. She has been depicted as a seductress, a cunning ruler, and a tragic heroine. But Cleopatra was more than a legend. She was a scholar, a strategist, and a queen who fought to preserve a kingdom in a world dominated by men. Her legacy endures, not just in history, but in the timeless fascination with one of the most enigmatic women in the world. 2,000 years plus after her death, Cleopatra's name still commands awe. Was she a temptress, a ruthless ruler, or simply a woman fighting for her people? Perhaps she was all of these and more. But one thing is certain: Cleopatra's story is eternal. Thank you.